summarise then, the mission is to immobilise the satellite Earth station at Wissen. Here we've got a model of the target, and remember, the target is of vital importance to the enemy, as it's the centre for all their communications in this area. Also remember, the target is deep behind enemy lines, and so can present a problem from our point of view. If you'd now look at the map, you'd see that the target is indicated near this lightly wooded area, giving us a good approach moving cross-country northwest. Okay, a good approach into the area of the target. Infiltration itself. Infiltration will be at night by C-130 aircraft, flying at 25,000 feet.
5 miles up and 200 miles behind enemy lines. Oxygen will be needed for more than half the distance to Earth. Outside, the air temperature is -50. Carrying weapons and a pack weighing over 100 pounds, they're about to launch themselves into the darkness.
Right on, right on. Green on. Green on.
Falling at 120 miles an hour, ice blurs their goggles. Altimeters open their chutes at a preset height. At a low level for an undetected landing behind a mountain screen, or high for a long gliding approach to a point which can be many miles from the dropping zone. This is the SAS, the Special Air Service. What sort of people make up this regiment?
Up!
How do they train? What roles are they assigned in war and in peace? It's a regiment about which much has been said and written, but little is known for certain by the public at large. Often units of the SAS are operating in a politically sensitive environment, where the need for secrecy is paramount. The SAS has a wealth of specially developed equipment and a wide range of strategies and tactics designed to cope with any foreseeable contingency. However, it's the caliber of the people that the SAS recruits and trains that determines their ultimate success.
Go straight into the face, again, bang, okay? The next one is to twist the head, step through, push down.
An angle of 70 degrees. Now the angle itself is most important, as this is to prevent the bridge jamming once it starts to collapse. If you look at the viewfoil, you see that the 2/3 of the span is now free to collapse into the river. If the angle
They come from all units of the army, and in some cases from civilian backgrounds. They volunteer to undergo a selection process which is not just rigorous, but also protracted. It is a line of hurdles set out on a course lasting several months. It is physically, emotionally, and intellectually exhausting, and it is designed to be. At first, the emphasis is on physical fitness and stamina. A series of forced marches in the Welsh mountains, individually or in groups, burdened with heavy packs, given a map reference and a deadline which becomes tighter with each exercise. Many come forward to join the SAS, but few will be chosen. Out of every 100, perhaps 15 will finally make it, possibly only 5.
You in there, Vince? Yeah. Squad 4. Squad 4, mate. Yeah, wait a minute. You've got it where you are. Alright. Right. Squad 4. Alright. Alright, go on and stop.
It is a process which, when completed, will sift out the few who combine physical fitness with an ability to operate alone. They must be able to think for themselves, make an appreciation of a situation when under stress, and then act in a decisive and effective way. Each man in this regiment must be able to lead. However, even an elite unit must have its leaders. For potential officers in the SAS, the selection process is still more rigorous. The officer recruit also has to present himself in an exercise called First Look.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Raymond Biggs. My home is in Argyll in western Scotland.
It's designed to reveal something of his character as well as his past. He is subjected to the same series of grueling marches as the other recruits.
Are there any questions now from the floor?
Yes, Raymond, if I told you that 3 officers were going to pass this selection, who would you like the other 2 to be?
Well, that's a very awkward question because I don't know them terribly well yet. But I've got 2 particular friends who I think would make very good SAS officers.
You prefer friends to those who are perhaps more militarily competent?
Well, I'd like to think that my friends were the more military competent members of the candidates.
If you were on a 4-man patrol and the other 3 men refused to follow you, how would you handle it?
Well, I'd explain the task to them, and I'd reason with them as to why we'd reached the decision that we'd reached about how we were going to do it.
Each march during Officers' Week is followed by a test designed to discover if he can remain coherent and decisive while physically exhausted. It's his ability to think on his feet which is now to be tried, and his coolness under pressure.
These then are the problems that I envisage in mounting the operation, and that also is my chosen method of infiltration into the area of operations. That completes my answer to question 1.
Let's go back to your means of insertion by parachute. Do you feel that there is a possibility of a high casualty rate, therefore reducing the number of men able to carry out the task?
How do you propose to recover your casualties?
If you don't know much about parachuting, why did you choose this method of insertion?
Why therefore didn't you use helicopters in the first place?
The man who performs badly under pressure in the artificial surroundings of the selection procedure will almost certainly be unable to cope in the trying conditions of the jungle. This environment brings out basic skills of navigation and self-reliance. A spell in the jungle forms an early part of the 17-week period which follows the physical selection test. Basic skills in weaponry and a thorough grounding in the world's armaments is part of the foundation course for the SAS trooper and officer.
To align the LTM on the target, look through the eyepiece, use the left-hand thumb wheel as your azimuth control and the right-hand thumb wheel as your elevation control. And by depressing the remote control button, the laser is switched on and marks the target.
The prime role of the SAS is in support of NATO troops, operating perhaps behind enemy lines in the event of war in Europe. They would be tasked with the destruction of high-value strategic targets, either by infiltration and demolition, or by calling in strike aircraft and directing their attack by radio and LTM, laser target marker.
Contact target.
Clear attack.
Roger.
Aircraft are the heavy artillery in a modern mobile war. In the Falklands, the SAS directed air attacks around Stanley from a covert, well-concealed observation point overlooking the town. They remained concealed for up to 4 weeks before its eventual recapture. This second but equally important role for the SAS encompasses Britain's non-NATO interests. Wherever they are needed throughout the world, combat survival and self-sufficiency form a vital part of their repertoire. How to stay alive in a hostile environment, what to eat, how to find it, and what to avoid.
When compared with vegetables. We will now go on to the poisonous varieties of fungi, and the first family that we will deal with is the Amanita family. The Amanita on the screen there is the death cap. This is the most deadly of all our native fungi, and this is the one that will kill you as sure as eggs is eggs.
Training includes evasion and concealment. The men are given compasses and greatcoats, but no food. At this stage they are nearing the end of the 5-month period of continuation training. They are expected to escape and evade for a week over an 80-mile stretch of country.
Okay. See you later. Steady it up on the left, lads. Bunching in, keep spread out. Here's one, fella.
Then comes a taste of what it is like to be on the receiving end of capture and interrogation.
Open your legs. Open, open. Stand still. Stand still!
The ordeal can last up to 24 hours. It includes disorientation and sleep deprivation. Some fail this test. They will be returned to their regiment or unit, with the knowledge that they have done well to reach even this stage in the selection process.
Turn around. Sit down. Sit up straight. What is your number?
24422-146.
Rank?
Corporal.
What is your name?
Guyot.
Date of birth?
17th of the 7th, 1957.
What is the name of your unit?
I cannot answer that question.
Yes, you can. You are allowed to answer that question.
I cannot answer that question.
Yes, you can. Guard!
After basic skills have been taught, there is still much to learn. For the NATO role, the SAS unit must be trained and equipped to work in difficult conditions and extremes of climate. One entire squadron exercises regularly in Arctic Norway. It is a training that was to be put to good use on the glaciers of South Georgia.
Yeah, if we go over that way, and that's the easiest way over there.
Are there any civvies up in that area?
Er det noen andre sivile i området?
Nei, det bare jeg som der oppe nå.
He's the only one who lives there.
Okay, tell him we would like to use the lake as a firing range until about 5 o'clock.
Vi vil bruke det området, skytterbanen, opp til klokka 5.
Ja, det skulle være helt i orden.
Ok, takk for det. Ha det.
Thank you very much.
Ha det.
In a landscape where survival can be a full-time job, the SAS have to be able to do much more.
Got a brew there, Frank?
They must be able to live rough and be an effective fighting force.
Contact!
A shootout is to be avoided if possible. Covert operations are usually more productive if silent. The skills of infiltration, survival and concealment are tested to extremes in the NATO context. As well as demolition, sabotage and target marking, the SAS have an important role to play in the setting up of observation posts behind enemy lines.
1 4-ton army truck moving north to south. Time 10:54.
Information and intelligence gathering is one of the most basic requirements of modern warfare. In order to monitor and control its operations in every part of the globe, the regiment operates a sophisticated listening and transmitting station from its headquarters. Information technology, together with encoding techniques, play a vital part in the type of operations in which the SAS specialize.
Switch from antenna onto low or high power as required, and that's the set tuned. I'd like you now to switch your sets off and retune them onto the frequency on the board, 19476 megahertz. Okay, Jeff, don't forget your 3 kilohertz offset.
The conventional forces of the British Army use no more than half a dozen different types of radio. The SAS use up to 30. In recent years, the regiment has been active in areas where Britain's interests have been involved, but in a context where all-out war is neither expedient nor possible. Malaya, Kenya, Borneo, and more recently, Oman. The campaign in Dhofar started in 1970 and lasted for 6 years. During its course, there were several battles. Eventually, the war was won by the local forces and the SAS against a tough and brave enemy. However, it was for non-violence that this important priority 2 involvement of the regiment will chiefly be remembered. Based on experience gained in Malaya, the action was fought on the assumption that such conflicts are not won by killing people. It was here that the hearts and minds approach became finely developed. This was based on the ability of many SAS men to learn and speak Arabic, coupled with medical skills made available to the local population.
Tony, I've got a sick man over here. Could you come over and translate for me, please?
Islam was encouraged and supported against communist pressure. The victory in the end was based on winning the support and trust of the local population. Training bodyguards to protect VIPs and heads of state in response to a request from the Foreign Office is another role for the regiment. Much of this work involves training the forces of friendly nations and provides the SAS with an almost constant but unpublicized commitment.
morning, Magneto. Did you have a good journey?
Yes, I did.
Would you like to come and say nice to your room?
Yes.
There is a fourth and final role assigned to the regiment: counter-terrorism. Such operations are made more difficult because of the intense political atmosphere which often surrounds them. Sometimes this dictates a gloves-on response, which often generates more risk to the soldier than they face in outright war. The Counter-Revolutionary Warfare Wing trains and keeps itself in constant readiness to deal with a hijack, hostage-taking, or seizure of an embassy.
Salim, we are listening to some suspicion movement. There is no suspicious movement. There's suspicion. Okay. Salim. Just a minute, I'll come back again. I'm going to check. Salim, sorry, there is no...
In May 1980, this training and the special skills associated with it were put to the test.
Salim, there is no suspicious movement.
In full view of the world's press and TV, a small band of terrorists were overcome and 19 hostages released. Successful, but also highly political, often glamorized or criticized. Such activities tend to give this role of the regiment an unwanted and unwarranted prominence in the public mind. There are a number of specialized skills which the SAS has developed to help it meet all the roles that it's designed to carry out. Mobility is one of them, the capacity to approach the area of operations with speed, stealth, and carrying the right equipment. Navigation plays an important part in this training. On land, a number of specialized vehicles and skills have been developed, and members of the unit are trained in their use and maintenance. Self-reliance is important, as a unit may often be operating well behind enemy lines. Parachuting plays a part in the life of SAS troops. All are trained in static line jumps. The air assault troop move on to free falling from high altitudes. Parachute drops into water are the speciality of boat troops, but are done by all. For the SAS, water, like the air, is a medium to be passed through rather than fought in. On occasions, units may find themselves having to infiltrate an area under the water, and even carry out underwater demolitions on bridges and lock gates on inland waterways. Each of the 4 troops in a squadron will specialize in one particular means of entry: boat, air, land mobility, and mountain, so that a combination of skills can be used to infiltrate to a target. Mountaineering skills enable the SAS to overcome difficult access routes, mount surprise attacks, and to transport equipment up severe gradients. Behind the troop skills there is a need for forward planning and strategic thinking. At the regimental headquarters is a small but important unit called Operations Research. This group makes sure that the SAS get the correct specialized equipment they need.
Well, I didn't quite understand that. What do you think? What's your definition of power?
Size of the country.
Size of the country, good.
Its
Yep.
mineral wealth.
Mineral wealth.
Size of its armed forces, the equipment it's got, the skill of the soldiers.
Hang on, take a few.
It's all right, my boss.
No problem, Nick. We're talking about power and the elements which make up power. Size of the population, yes?
The skill of the armed forces, the standard of the equipment,
yes,
and additionally the nuclear power.
Nuclear power, good. Now hang on there.
In addition to the troop skills that the SAS man learns, there are also what are known as personal skills to be acquired. These include one of the most important in the winning of hearts and minds, languages.
Apa awak mau tanya?
Awak mau cakap pasal kampung awak dan mak bapa dan adik-beradik?
It's heavier D. Dubbat, okay? Dubbat.
Sometimes the SAS patrol can extend a helping hand to a sick villager. All SAS units receive some medical training.
It's then a matter of using the laryngoscope, which we've all talked about before and you've seen demonstrated, putting the tongue to one side, usually to the left, depending which hand you are, keeping the lip away from the teeth, and also making sure you don't lean on the front teeth, in other words, breaking them. It's then a matter of placing the tube down over the blade of the laryngoscope, in through the vocal cords, into the airway.
Selected members will be assigned to a UK hospital for several months of hands-on education in medical knowledge and skills.
Fine, John. You're gonna run down to the theatre with him and.
Yep. Each unit or patrol will be assigned one of these specialists when operational. This reinforces the SAS unit's ability to live on its own resources, deal with its own problems, and operate in a hostile and unsupportive environment.
I just want to check the dressing.
I'm just going to change the dressing room. I just have to change this dressing on you.
And we will then move off northwest, cross country, a distance of approximately 20 kilometres to the area of the target. Actions on the target. The target will be observed for approximately 1 hour prior to any entry to establish any enemy routine. Once their routine has been established, Group 1 will then cut the wire. Group 2 and Group 3 will then make entry into the target complex.
At the end of all this training, the SAS are one of the most efficient and effective fighting forces in the world. When the need arises, their response time must be fast and their preparedness high. Security is essential, so that operational methods and personnel do not become known to any potential enemy. For every act of necessary force, there may be several battles which were never fought, because the SAS, using their special skills, were able to learn of an enemy's intentions and frustrate their plans.
The groups will then exfil through Group 1 and move off as a 9-man patrol cross-country to the area of grid 763129, where we will make a strip for the C-130 aircraft for the pickup. Once the aircraft is in our vicinity, we will then detonate the charges, immobilising the target. We will then exfil by the C-130.
There are conflicts in the world which can be prevented from escalating into wars by the winning of hearts and minds. The SAS are trained to act decisively and effectively. They are, however, much more than just a fighting force.
Very common things.
Has there been many developments with this weapon since in the last 7 or 8 years?
Yeah.